how you address that with the people without being, geez, it reeks, you know. That usually happens in my house. But anyway, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. I know the weather looks super scary, so those of you who made it, thank you for making it live. And those of you, I saw we had a lot of people on Zoom, so thank you. Great to kind of see you. Today's going to have a lot of interaction, so as we move forward, so please put the notes or raise your hand in the Zoom, and Grace will be graceful enough to share what you're asking or want to share. So it's going to be great to collaborate. So welcome. This is our great day for us to get to hang out with everybody and get started and officially kick off April, because yesterday there was so many things that were going on I didn't know what was real and wasn't. According to Lance, Gary went to EXP.
Oh my God.
So I think that was pretty alarming.
He's back today.
He's back today, okay. It expired, I guess.
Yes. Hey, what is April 2nd?
Day before and after.
My grandpa's
Yeah.
birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Grandpa.
And somebody else's birthday.
Stacy.
Oh, let's sing happy birthday to Stacy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I can't hear you on Zoom.
Happy birthday, dear Stacy, dancing queen.
Happy birthday to you. Very nice. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, she reminded me, so.
Oh, nice. Nice. It's a birthday month for you then?
Yes, just
No.
today.
Just today. Well, that's awesome. Well, let's start with, to honor Stacy by doing the Y4C2Ts. Reminder that Keller Williams' belief system is win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication. Seek first to understand. Creativity. Ideas before results. Teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. For those of you who do or don't know, Mo Anderson, whenever there's a conflict and someone's having an issue, she's known as the Velvet Hammer. She will set the people down, put this right in the middle and say, let's talk. And that's legitimately the backbone behind this company. And let's give it up for Selena. Hello, Selena. So yes, Selena's the play of the week. She was nominated actually by a peer for, she went to do I couldn't say this on social media because it just would sound weird to people on social media, but she had a cancel and relist, which I'm sure a lot of you are starting to do. And she had it so concise, both in command and in her paperwork, that a staffer here just was like, wow, all she had to do was click and it moved on. So it was really efficient. So it's noted her professionalism for her clients and really with staff for us to be able to do that for her. She's been in the business for 8 years. She's out of Lonsdale. And so she gets up here sometimes. She was the #1 solo agent for 2 months in a row. And she has coached volleyball for 12 years, does a ton of philanthropy with her school and her kids. And it's just, again, we're so thankful for people to be in business with people like Selena. And a reminder that of the quality of the people that are here. Thank you for being with us. And please, in a way of we talked about gratitude this morning. An amazing way to show gratitude would be to share with me, share with staff, who is doing something, whether it's real estate, whether it's philanthropy, whatever it might be, that you really appreciate. Please let us know. We'd love to honor them. So, thank you for that. And let's welcome Melissa.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. I'm looking for lots of smiles and lots of giggles because some of you in the room have heard this before, but those of you who are new to Keller Williams, you'll remember my story. And that is the time I listed the house for the referral and Crystal got an offer and they asked me if I had my truth in housing report. I'm in your shoes. I didn't have it. I've been there, done that. You know what? It was Columbia Heights. I said, Crystal, it's Columbia Heights. I just want to take this moment as we're talking about sellers today to remind you things move fast and furiously. But when you list a house, there's a handful of cities in the Twin Cities area that require an inspection from the city before you can transact that house, before you can close on the house. Some cities call it a time of sale inspection program. Some people call it a truth in housing inspection. It can be a little bit different everywhere, but we have a list here, so you can grab a screenshot if you want. I post it on Facebook periodically. It says that in the city of Bloomington, which is just the first one on the list that I went to, that it applies to all single-family and two-family dwellings, as well as condos and townhomes, and some mobile homes, but it's not usually for multi-family rental buildings. The cost for it is approximately $250, ranges from city to city, and so it is one of those expenses you'll want to put on your seller's net sheet so that they know this is one of the expenses that they have to put forward right away. Oftentimes you call the city to arrange it. In larger cities, you can also book it online. Tasha.
You might want to point out that some cities require the sellers to repair the items before going on the market or before closing. And
Yeah.
some require the buyers and some just want you to know about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. They're all a little bit different, but in essence, it is a way of making sure that properties don't get dilapidated within their community, that they take this opportunity at time of sale to make sure and take a look at that property, make sure that the residents who are living there are living in a safe and habitable home. And there are inspectors that do this as their full-time job. And so it's really easy to find one. Of course, you can pull on us if you need some resources, if you need the name of someone. But before you list a house, just have me in the back of your mind, remembering how embarrassed I was that day when I had a listing a little out of my own neck of the woods, and the buyer's realtor had to remind me that it was a necessary requirement. So follow that list. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Jamie, can I add one thing to that
Yes,
real quick?
please.
I think the first year I was here, I really struggled with where to find a good list
Yes.
for that. It's nice that you have it now in the Market Center. But if anybody doesn't have the link to the SPAR website where they have all of those cities listed, come see me after the meeting and I'll email it to you, because it's a great resource on SPAR, and they have PDFs that not only say which cities require the inspection, but they have some other city ordinances as well that have been really helpful to me in the 5 years I've been here.
Oh, thank you so much.
You can also find that link on KWPR dashboard.
Okay, well, fun.
I would just add to that too, because if you have one of those cities, go on the city website, because you may also find there could be first-time home buyer money available for their city if they happen to be a teacher or a fireman or a policeman or something like that. So there's a lot of good information on the city website if you're not familiar with it.
I had an issue at my house in Ridgefield, and the real estate agent had not done the truth in housing thing for the house yet. And we had the inspection before the Ridgefield inspection, and a bunch of stuff was pulled up, and my buyer almost walked. So just a note to anybody, you might not have your house inspection until that has been done, because they ended up fixing a lot of the stuff. But I mean, I almost lost my sale.
So you almost
Great points.
negotiated a whole bunch of things to happen.
Well, because we just
and
hadn't done it yet, and we got our inspection before the Richfield one.
Got it. Well,
So,
thank you. Well, thank you for that, and someone who can't report her truth right now is Toddy, but we got the great replacement that is Grace. Come on up.
Okay, so here, it's a new month, so kind of a busy schedule here going on. There's an overview of our events and trainings for this month. You can also scan this QR code. It'll take you to all the info about our events and also the links to sign up for them if you don't want to scan all the other QR codes. So today we have Mega Agent Mastermind at 12:30, and then following that is Solo Agent Alliance. Thursday, tomorrow, Jason and I are teaching a class about Instagram. This is kind of just like the beginning steps of setting up your account, what you can do to, I guess, leverage Instagram for your business. Beat the Algorithm is more in-depth if you want to kind of use hashtags, more so get your information out there so people are seeing it more often. It's $25. It's going to be a great class. super valuable, so sign up for that. I think we have 7 people signed up, so we wanna pack this room, get more people in here. She's great, so you'll learn a lot of great tips from her, and that's next Thursday. Okay, agent speed dating mixer. This is put on by Candace Johnson, she's on the growth committee. This is so great, it's such a great idea, I think. So she's getting together a bunch of top agents here in the Market Center, and it's gonna be kind of speed dating for any agents to go around and ask questions, anything you wanna know, burning questions about their business, about certain, kind of what we're doing today, like sellers, disclosure agreements and stuff like that. So any specifics that you wanna know, it'll be great. I don't think Candace is here. But stop by, she'll be able to tell you more about it.
Sarah, you've been in what do you think?
I went as a new agent and I've done a couple, we haven't done them real recently, but as a, whatever, experienced agent. It's really fun and I would encourage people to be a part of it, no matter where you are in the spectrum of new to not so new. And for me, I can't be there that day, I'm really bummed, so I hope we do it again in the near future. But it's just a fun way for, like, I've been here 10 years, I don't always know the new people, it's a fun way to get to know the new faces.
Yeah, there's gonna be like speed dating, there's gonna be probably about 10 to 15 agents that Candace is getting together, and there will be food and drinks too, so that you can chat outside of just the speed dating, so yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So sign up with that QR code. Yes. Okay, then we have the first tech committee meeting with Bryce and Ryan. Bryce, do you wanna talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, this is just, this is kind of our kickoff for tech committee, just to be able to talk about maybe some improvement suggestions with Command, if that's your main CRM that you use. Just apps that different agents that are attending maybe are using or finding useful in their business. For safety, lead generation, whatever that might look like. Kind of getting some suggestions from anybody that comes for maybe some techie things that you might want to look at for the Market Center. And then just kind of open discussion, anything that you're finding that maybe some different platforms that you might be using that's helpful, such as things like HomeBot and different things that you're using in your business that you feel as value add. Just a good overall tech discussion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's gonna be next Thursday. All of the committees on the ALC have been doing a really great job of putting events together. This Friday, the luxury and relocation is doing the luxury bus, so great job, you guys. That's awesome. And then Jamie is gonna do an Exactly What to Say workshop, kind of based around the Phil Jones regional event that's happening later in May. So you can sign up using that QR code, it's gonna be an awesome event, you can sign up for VIP or the general session. Yeah.
Sure, to go to that Phil Jones VIP, in New York, it's $5,000. And, that's not including flights and such. So for us to be able to do this for $500, I'm so grateful to Olivia for this opportunity. And therefore, as we've talked about in ALC and some other people, and I've been on a couple of their workshops online, we have the workshop in here, and all what it does is just helps you fine tune what you get out of your conversation, so that they fully hear you and you fully understand them, so you can get to the chase of getting their needs met quick.
That workshop's gonna be April 16th at 12:30. It's gonna be awesome. And Jamie is going to the VIP session for Phil
Yes.
Jones, so you should join him.
Yes.
Okay, this is super exciting. So we are doing our first annual Arbor Day. So you'll be able to, we don't have the sign up ready yet, but that will be ready later this week. So it'll be promoted on Facebook and in the Friday email. You can sign up for a certain amount of trees that you want to purchase for your clients. And then you will get a marketing plan, a smart plan, so that you can promote that out to your clients and bring them here so they can pick up a tree. Trees will be $10 each, and we encourage you to bring like food, drinks, all that stuff to make it a bigger event for your clients so that they can stick around and you can chat with them more too. But that's gonna be April 24th from 4 to 7, the day before Arbor Day. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
What kind of trees?
Maple trees.
Red maple.
Yep.
Okay. When you say bring food and drink, are you talking about us putting together a a buffet potluck for
No,
everyone who's coming, or what are you talking about there?
Just for your clients, you can bring like some pop or some little snacks for your clients to grab with the trees if you want, cause you'll be kind of set up with your trees so your clients can kind of be filtered to you and then grab any food and drinks that you can chat with them while they're.
Outside, I'm sorry,
It'll be in
probably
here.
asking too many questions.
No, not at all, no, it'll
We're
be in
getting
here
there,
in the
we're getting
training
there.
room.
Appreciate it.
It'll
Yeah.
be inside.
Yes.
So it's similar to, it's a combination of two things. It's a combination of, when I was at United Realty, we would have tree giveaways at Christmas time. I would give a wreath to someone to find out that they got a tree from another agent. So I'm like, that's oversaturated, so I thought, we're not gonna do that, and we wanted to try to find something an event that you guys can plug into at this time of the year that is completely unique and separate from anything anyone else is doing for your clients. So it's really more akin to a pie giveaway or a pizza giveaway. We are supplying the pizza or the pies in that case, with the trees. And it's in honor of Arbor Day, but really it's plant a tree in honor of somebody. It's, hey, I think I got 10 people that will do this, or 20 people do this, so you buy a lot of 20, we order it, get it all ready for you. And throughout the office is when they'll come to your, wherever you are at here, and pick up their stuff, get to see you, and then that is where you can choose. Do you want to provide some food, drinks, other things to make it festive?
When do you have to know how many you need by?
April 10th.
You have to have that by April 10th to order the trees?
April 10th, you'll order all the trees by April 10th, and then you'll receive the marketing plan and smart plan to start going out April 11th. And as you see it promoted more this week, you'll get a lot more information about it, and then as well as after you sign up, emails and such like that, so that you kind of know what the event is.
How big are the trees?
Yeah, how big do they start?
Oh, it's just a kit like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's a
like-
kit,
okay.
it's just a small kit that they can take and then plant themselves, yeah.
And kind of like, unlike the pies and the pizzas for the most part, there's no shelf issue,
Shelf life.
right? So if you have a few that don't come up,
Well, you gotta get them planted,
Save 'em
otherwise
for
they'll die.
They have shelf life.
they do, those ones do.
I'm
Mine doesn't sound like you, the seeds and whatever. Maybe not, all right, I'll clarify with you.
Yeah, reach out to me if you
So
have any more
basically, is
questions.
it that, what you're picturing right there?
That's the kit, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So it's pretty small, but yeah, and then they can just take it and plant it, so it's pretty easy on your end. But yeah, email me any questions that you have, and then obviously you'll see more on the Facebook and emails. More information.
Grace, one quick question, for those of us not in the Springville area, are they not going to be here until 4 o'clock on that day, or can we get them like the day before?
I'll bring them to you,
Okay.
so you can post.
And you could probably bring them to your client too, you know?
Prefer to do that, you can drop off your client. Some people may have a town hall, they may, whatever, they can give it to someone in honor of somebody too. So ultimately, what is it? It's a easy button to push so you can contact people this time.
Thank you for setting that up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you last week for all the, well, last week there were so many great puns about treating your client and stuff, so I just thought you were a corny bunch. I think you're barking on the right tree. Lance was like vibrating, sitting back there waiting to say it. The whole time, he's just like, good one, Lance. So please sign up for this beginning opportunity. Again, just, the thought is, what's my VIP list and or who are my current clients? Order that number, and on we go. Okay, and speaking of corny, let's see her from Brian. Woohoo!
So, as you see, there's only one photo on there, Drake left.
On vacation?
Nope.
What?
We went to American Pride Bank, they're out of Georgia. Just a little more stable, he bought a house, he's getting married, and so decided to go that route. Who knows, he might be back. But, yep.
Sorry, Brian.
Yes. So,
Now you have to deal with all of us by yourself?
I do, yeah, I gotta learn how to use this damn thing. So, pointer, I kinda like that feature. Oh, there he is. So we have all kinds of programs, grants, we call them NAF pathway. Other companies might have other, if they have like down payment assistance, we have all kinds of things, usually geared around lower income type products. But mainly I wanted to say that, and I'll talk about these changes, we've got a couple, 3 out of our 10 have been suspended, Fannie and Freddie, because there's been some changes and things are tightening up. This is regarding Fannie and Freddie. Basically, they're not as supportive of these underlying grant programs, all right? And so they basically just came out and said, we're not going to support a lot of these types of programs. And I think it's going to actually maybe spread a little bit. So if you've got customers who are right now in your pipeline and it's like, okay, we're looking, can't find anything, double check on that because it might be going away. And I don't think it's gonna, so that was Fannie Freddie. FHA is basically completely getting away from non-resident purchases, non-permanent resident purchases. Like if IBM brings somebody over from India and they get them on an H-1B visa, they're a non-resident, but previously FHA was allowing them to purchase. EAD, what are they? Also a kind of an employment authorization. Those aren't gonna qualify for FHA anymore, all right? Really a permanent resident in my head is a green card. There might be other various forms, but they really need to have a green card to be able to purchase with FHA now. Date-wise, probably have a month. If you've got somebody looking and this is what you've been going with, you better find a house in the next week, otherwise we need to get a case number, which you need a purchase agreement and an address to be able to get a case number, so we're running out of time there.
Don't you just have to have the case number by May 25th?
Yes, you have to have a case number by then, but you need a property address and a signed purchase agreement, so. Any questions on that?
Doesn't have to close by May 25th.
Yeah, Lance. Oh, were you waving? No, okay. All right, thank you.
If this was an auction, you'd have just won the bid.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you, Brian. We got your back, brother. All right, just a reminder,
Dog
real quick, as this snow starts to melt, she'll be looking for pick up an extra job or two, especially 2. And just a heads up that she's got another gig coming up, probably next week, so just a forewarning. All right, well, with the time, and Jason, just a quick little scuttlebutt. Should we put this at the end if there's time and just get right to the case study, because there's a lot of info here. Ultimately, what we did was, y'all did a town hall, and we want to address this quarterly as to what was said, what was shared, how we've implemented it, how we plan on implementing it more in the future. And we want to make sure we have more time for this case study. So time's getting a little tight, and there are 4 slides for this. I will do a quick briefing and say, a lot of people wanted James Shaw. He's coming here already. However, he is doing this for ALC. So he's not going to come down twice, especially in Minnesota, because he lives in Florida, he says. Jeff Glover has already been in, and he's not coming back this year at this point. Jordan Freed no longer goes on the road. Now, these are all the people that you guys wanted. The Peters, she broke her back. So it's really sad. However, they're looking to do so later in the year potentially. So that's still coming. Shannon Steer, she got a new role for the 12-week year. However, she's still planning on setting up a time with us in the 3rd or 4th quarter. And Gene Rivers, he himself will not be coming into Quantum Leap. However, our awesome regional director has booked that for the 24th with Jen Lewis, who is top notch, and also other practical value workshops like the listening presentation council stuff we're going to do here today. So we'll move on. We'll go over this another time later, but let's jump into, oh, let's have Stone Arts, let's have Lisa McKenzie come up.
Hi, everyone. I cannot believe it, but we are at our 1-year anniversary, next Tuesday. It went by so fast. So I want to invite everybody to our open house. We're doing an open house on the 8th, next Tuesday from 3 to 6, Southern Minnesota. Photography is going to be there doing free headshots. They'll give you a digital copy and it'll be, edited. So, and then we'll have appetizers and cocktails, so I hope to see everybody there.
Awesome, thank you. And since she's here and Brian's here, Friday we have the luxury tour and Brian and Lisa are contributing to the tour. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Are they coming along?
What's that?
Are they coming along?
No.
We'll give you a heads up that the spillover, it ends at 2, and the spillover is at Lucky's right afterwards. So if you're not able to make the tour, at least come to Lucky's and hang out and learn some things that you may not have ever heard in your life. So let's jump up and do, hey Jason, let's do the case study. So what happened is those of you who haven't seen this yet before, it's something that we started and we want to keep doing, and we got a lot of great feedback because hearing from each other is a huge deal, right? So the goal of this now, this is being recorded and we will come up with a synopsis for you. So we're not going to write everything on the board. However, Jason will do his best to do so, at least the main points. However, so I've had a couple different people like one in a coaching and another in a KPA, talk about some things they're struggling with. And one key thing that people are having struggle with, especially right now with the market kind of changing and not knowing who's valuing what and that kind of thing, is the process of working with a seller. So in this case, this is very general and we're gonna walk through it together a little like step by step. So referral call from a past client, Jack and Diane, that wasn't their real names. They may need to sell their primary residence in Woodbury and or a secondary property in Chaska, then buy in Stillwater next to the Tasty Freeze and they want a little pink house. All right, some of that was made up, but the others, that's a legit situation. The first step is you got a referral call. Hey, so-and-so says call Jack and Diane. What's the next step for you?
Set an appointment.
Set an appointment. Now, on that call, to set that appointment, when you're calling Jack and Diane, how much information are you getting, or is it just, you just want to get the appointment? Just, everyone just throw info out.
Just a little bit of information, be able to just understand overall what the situation is, and be able to get more in person.
Okay. Anyone else try to glean more from this part of the situation?
Call the referee, thank them, give them gratitude, get a gift card, get it in the mail ASAP.
Nice. Thank you. Cool. So anyone here do I guess whatever information you're gonna glean off the call depends on if you do a 1-step or 2-step. Anyone here do a 2-step, or anyone not know what I'm talking about?
Depends on what kind of property it is. If it's a townhouse and you got a bunch of comps, you can do a 1-step, but otherwise, if it's a unique property, you definitely need to do 2-step probably.
Okay.
It's just something.
Yeah.
Let me do a pre-list.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so that would be another example of 2 steps, right?
That's
Listed
true.
on An actual listing presentation.
Coloring.
Does anybody have a video that they use for their clients that, you know, hey, what to expect on a pre-list or my listing appointment? I know a lot of agents are concerned and excited about the opportunity to get into video, and some of the videos that I'm seeing out there from other agents are things like that, where they're not really comfortable, but they know they need to get in the video, so they make a video on what to expect on a listing appointment with me. Here's what I'm gonna do, here's what I'm gonna talk about, here's the questions I'm gonna ask. And by doing that, especially if we've got Jack and Diane, who I don't know, they get to put a face with who's coming to their house before I show up, which is another fantastic thing. They get to see a face, they feel comfortable with me, and it's a simple way for me to tell them what they're gonna see, so that when I show up, I don't have to spend a lot of time. And I can reuse that video every single listing appointment. Just make once, boom, out it goes, keep it on my YouTube channel, and weirdly, people actually look for that kind of video on YouTube. So now you have the opportunity to build on that as well. So that's one thing, one of the things that I see with a two-step listing when you have a process for your listing process. What am I doing when I make that appointment? And you send them an email, how, hey, here's a quick video, thanks for making the appointment, here's a quick video on what to expect. And you include in there a little pre-list packet. You've got a lot of information that clients can really set the stage for what they can expect to see when they see you. What other sorts of things might you do in a pre-list? And I'm gonna look at you, Steve, because you used to be a 72-sold king, but when you set that appointment, didn't you have to do something when you set the appointment, right? You had to bring them something. He had to bring him a gift. He forgets that he had to bring him a gift.
Yeah.
And he said it there, but what was the point of that
I'm
gift?
almost 72 years old too.
So what was the point of that gift, Steve?
72 old.
72 old, I'm sorry.
What was the point of that gift, and what gift did you bring that you would bring to their house?
Many people use something that was very personal, like maybe your grandmother was a great creator of jams and stuff like that, and you would actually have a bunch of these saved up, and it would have a label to it, and so it was a real personal, you were trying to develop a personal relationship with that individual, and they encourage you very much when you do, and you would do a walkthrough of the house and try to see things that you might be able to relate to them on. Like, for example, Greg, the guy from Arizona, he was kind of into cars and motorcycles, and if he ever saw someone that had pictures on the wall, he had an immediate connection with those people to develop a deeper relationship.
So when you're doing that listing appointment, are you looking not just at the house, but ways to connect, truly connect with them? Because if you're in multiple options, or there are multiple people, they're interviewing multiple people, the person they feel most comfortable with is the person they're gonna choose. And if you can create that relationship and deliver a personalized thing, they're gonna feel way more comfortable and open up to you a lot faster than just going through this process, the mechanical parts of it. Other folks go, yes, thank you.
I think, going back a little bit, before, when you get a referral or whatever and that kind of thing, and you're talking to somebody on the phone, you know, you kind of make a connection and that kind of thing. And if the more you can get them to talk, the more chances you'll get an appointment. That's just always been my philosophy, is if they start opening up, that kind of thing. But before I even do anything next, I'll just ask them, would you have a little bit of time? Can I ask you some pre-qualifying questions? So a pre-qualifying question list is my absolute thing before I'd ever even go on an appointment or send them a pre-list packet or anything.
What sorts of questions would be in there? Do you have a?
Well, and it's gonna ask about time frame, if they have a mortgage on the property, and are they interviewing other agents? Are they what do they think the value of their home is worth, that kind of thing. And usually if they're a referral, they're a little bit more open to those questions, a lot more so than maybe a stranger.
Melissa, have you ever heard this term before?
Oh, yes.
What does it stand for?
Can't remember.
Location, who else knows?
Price.
Price.
Motivation.
I can't remember the price.
Agents, do you have an agent, working with an agent?
Oh, yeah.
Mortgage, yeah, or when we talk about money, and this is because it's a listing, it's probably not as important. And last one, A, Bryce knows, this was the first thing he said. Appointment, right? We use that process, those are the critical pieces that we get, and these give us, to Chris's point, enough information to kind of continue to move that process forward. So location, price, motivation, agents, mortgage, and finally, set the appointment. That's the sorts of things that can help drive that conversation and make it super personal, and that's part of your pre-qualification questions, so that you can effectively help the client out.
Great. So, next thing, what in your packets and such, here's one of the things that we're trying to help clarify is just how much do you put in there, and do you go through it all? There's a lot of questions about, okay, I'm sitting with the people and I wanna have a rhythm. However, it's tricky because you also wanna know what is most important to them. So you've got your buffet of everything you do, all your value, yet if you just throw it up all over them, it's just gonna be kind of whatever. However, I think the first questions are, what are you looking for in a realtor? What is it, have you bought and sold before? What was that experience like? You get them talking, asking them the right questions, and then you'll find out their why. And then, so there's just a little bit of a cloud there that we'd like to kind of figure out some sort of system. Who has a system to that they'd like to share? Krista's ready. And Jen.
Well, I have a pre-listing packet, and whether I send it out ahead of time, or if it happens, I just bring it with me, or if I have somebody deliver it, one of the three will happen. But mine are set up on, it's a folder, and on one half of the folder is their homework assignment, and the other half of the folder is information about myself and my company and advertising and that kind of thing. I don't talk about that at all. I don't talk about myself, I don't talk about that, and they either read it or they don't. And the other side is, it'll have a seller's disclosure, and I'll have a little post-it note on it that says, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and start filling this out. I know when they come, and if they have their packet all filled out when I get there, I know they're listing with me. I don't even have to worry about any competition, because I know they're already ready to go. So, if they don't, that's fine too, and then I'll explain it to them, and they'll ask questions about it, that kind of thing too.
So that pre-listing thing is helpful to that whole process. It starts to demystify some of the stuff that's gonna happen when you show up that first time. Chad, what were you gonna?
Yeah, when Gene Rivers would come and whomever years ago to showcase the seller consult, whatever the class was. I mean, he's basically like, yep, this is it. You only have so many opportunities every year. So have a system in place, much like Krista. I'll jump into that in a second, and then go all in, right? So I go assumptive close right off the bat. If I'm on the vehicle, I pull over, I pull off the pre-qual, and I'm going through a full pre-qual, asking if they have the time. If they have 15 minutes, I can do the full pre-qual, set the appointment, tell them what's going to happen next. I'm going to be delivering this. Can you send it to your work or to your place of business or to your house, preferably the place of business? I still don't do that myself, so then I usually will go to the house, and that gives me an opportunity to preview the property with my own eyes. And that's my two-step. First step is just the drive-by. If they're home, I'll text them in advance, I'll shake their hand. They build a sense of rapport, deliver that digitally with our admin, and then also in paper form, whichever they choose. And then step two is coming back for the actual listing appointment. Ideally, that's for ROI, for time reasons, that's what I like to do. I'm bringing in a lockbox. They used to say a sole proprietor, that's their key, that, hey, I'm planning on selling your home, I'm gonna leave this in your garage. Hint, hint, I don't do that, but I do bring the lockbox in. And like Krista said, if they've already pre-filled the exact same listing, pre-list packet, you already know what's going to happen. So that level of confidence is huge, and asking tons of questions, going deep, really finding out what, for us, for our team, it's what does a 5-star look like for you at the close of the table? What can I do today, tomorrow, the next day to earn that opportunity and for a lifetime thereafter? And tell me more. And if I could do that for you at a high level, are you ready to go to work? And that's a close. And then you do 2, 3, 4 other closes if need be until you get to the end. And they're soft closes. They're nothing hard, right? And I prep it. I'm not here to force you to sign anything. I just want you to want to let's wrap this up, right? Let's go. I'm here to do business. I'm assuming you want to do that. And if you come in with that confidence and they do trust you because of the pre-list that Chris mentioned and the pre-qual that you pull over to the side of the road and prioritize them, if you can deliver on that to the best of your ability, boy, it's very likely they're going to want to work with you. So it doesn't have to be complex. Just be better than everybody else they're calling. And assume they're not calling everybody else, because NAR says 80% of the time they're not.
Everything.
And they're right.
Especially if they were a referral.
Yeah, totally. So just don't screw it up. Get it done.
I think the easiest close after you've gone through your presentation is, are you ready for me to get started?
Yeah.
And it just, yeah, okay, let's do it,
And
whether they were ready or not. A lot of times they are, they'll just do it.
A 20-year vet and a 10-year becoming, in my becoming of my business, it's easy for us to say, right? You have to go through the failures
and just do it over and again. However, that doesn't mean you can't be confident up front. If you prep your package and you prep all this and you take this very seriously, I don't care, you gotta have 2 weeks of experience and just knock it out.
Now, Jamie has a question. He said, who does a two-step process? And both of you have agreed that you do a two-step process, when it's working, right? That would be my plan, would be to be a two-step process. But I guarantee you there's somebody in here who has a one-step process, and they believe strongly that that is the correct answer. So tell us about why that's the right answer.
I think Bryce has his hand up.
I figured he might.
I will do a two-step if there's not enough information available for me to properly give a value and advice in one appointment. So for instance, a one-step I will do very often if maybe the home was recently sold in the last 5 years or they bought it in the last 5 years. There's enough data on MLS that I can look up a value of a house and say, based on, that the home is in good condition, I can go in there and give them a value on it. Now, if I go in and I see that it's trashed, obviously I know what the value would be if it was in good condition, so I can say you have X amount of repairs to do, so here's your value today, but it could be here if you did these things. But I'm trying to put a CMA together right away with all of the information that I have, and then go there and I handwrite what I believe the value is without predetermining the value because I need to see it, But it's a great way for me to go in, give my marketing pitch, show them what their value is, and then also get a signed contract before I walk out the door.
Or not to do any more work.
They brought up all of those elements, and none of them were about that part. All of those, most of their first step was an extra touch to build trust. Is that something you say, I don't want to do because of time or expense, or you don't think it's necessary?
I try to, because what I've found in the past is if I do a two-step, that somebody else will walk in front of me and get the listing agreement signed before I'm even able to go back and do my second appointment.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
prefer.
And I gotta say, over 50% of mine are probably past clients or somebody that, or an expired where you do have all the information and you could do it on a one-step.
So I try to build all of that into one appointment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep
If you
it
can.
45 minutes or less. And as I walk through the door, I'm building rapport immediately with them as I'm doing a tour of the house, talking about different things they might want to do to the house, giving my opinion on things they should do to their house. And then that's when we sit down at the table, I go over what their home I believe is valued at, and then what I can do for them as their agent, and then try to get right into getting them to sign the listing contract.
Lance?
So, my goal is always to do a one-step. And I think the pre-list packet really helps me get a lot of the gray area information out of the way, information about KW, information about the Burwald Group. We have a nice note in there, we ask them to fill out disclosures and things ahead of time, and I would agree with the comment that if they fill that stuff out and you show up and they've filled that out and signed it, you're gonna get the listing, but a lot of times they don't. But that takes a lot of that stuff out of the way that, if you don't send that ahead of time, you're gonna sit down and tell them the strength of Keller Williams, and you're gonna tell them the strength of KW PR and the Burwald Group. You're gonna spend a lot of time spinning your wheels. So I try to keep it short and sweet, but if they're not ready to list, for whatever the reason is, I'm gonna try then to close for the next appointment. And if it takes a second, a third, or a fourth, or case in point, this Friday, this will be the 10th time I've met with this family to list their home in Richfield. You're gonna go as many times as it takes to get signatures, period, end of story.
Tom, I see some wheels turning. What are your thoughts? You've heard all this. Would you do now one? Would you do two? What do you do?
More often than not, two-step.
Okay. And is that two-step, and maybe to Bryce's point, is it two-step physically, two steps, or is it like an electronic pre-list packet kind of thing where, because time is still of the essence, I think is a very valuable part of this, right? So is it actual two physical, when you say two steps, is it two stops, or is it two steps?
It's not always the same.
Okay. Tell us more about that.
I mean, it kind of depends on the person. scheduling what type of individual they are. You know, if they don't want a lot of chit chat, you know, they want, you know, they want numbers, they want facts. Yeah, we're not gonna make 2 stops at the house. You know, we'll have a quick call, get things set up, maybe drop off the pre-qual ahead of time. But, or the pre-list packet ahead of time. But then you've got others that wanna talk.
See that being true, Tasha?
So you have a question there of what do you leave with them? And then to Bryce's point, you can have an amazing conversation with someone and you can be totally truthful about the fact that it could sell for $580 if you did these things. And currently, in the condition it's in, we're probably looking at $550, $540. You can have all that conversation. I don't really leave a whole lot with them. I do a lot of my listing presentation on the computer, comparing properties together versus me. I've done them all. I've combined them all, and then we go through them for the interior pictures, because I can show them all day long the stats, but the stats mean nothing if the pictures don't line up with their property. So we go through, we choose a property together. I want to leave with a signed contract, because someone else, if I've told them these 2 numbers, if they're gonna meet with someone else, that person may not be ethical, and they may say, oh, let's list at $580 today, knowing that they're not going to get $580 and they get $520. That's just how I see some other people doing things. So basically, they're buying the listing. They're telling them what they want to hear, and I told them the truth. And
I'll also add to that, because I just had this happen to me within the last week, that I went to a house where I knew I was gonna have to do a 2-step, because this house was like bought 30 years ago, and there was literally no information anywhere about it. And even if I got information from the seller, I'd still wanna verify it, see it in person, do all the things. I knew it was gonna take 2 steps. I got done with my listing appointment, and we were in the driveway, and she says, actually, we need to wrap things up because the next agent's coming. I said, that's great. I said, when do you plan on making a decision? Well, I'll get back to you tomorrow after we meet with this next person. I said, hold on a second. I said, I haven't even given you any information about what I think your home is worth. And she kind of looked at me like confused. She's like, yeah, you're right. And I said, how is the next person gonna give you information? I said, there's no information on your house whatsoever available online. And so she started talking to me a little bit, and I said, would you be open for me to just come back for an extra 20 to 30 minutes so I can come back and give you the appropriate value, appropriate information, and all the things, and set that second appointment? And she goes, I didn't even think about that. And I said, we hadn't talked about this or that. So just taking some of the extra time and explaining to her why it's important to come back. I said, if this person gives you a value right there off the top of their head, I said, either they're an absolute genius and they can just pull comps out of their head and know like all the things. And I said, that's great, but I said, you might want to have a second appointment to prove all these facts, because they're not going to have any more information than I did when I came to the house. And we do have a second appointment set up, and they did the same exact thing. So, like, just explain.
And what was the answer?
I did get it. I go back to, actually on Monday. On Monday night, I go back again, so.
And Tasha, what that meant is, what you leave with them was when Jen Toomer was here talking about what she does, different things. She also talks about that some people just like to feel, and it means a lot to them. And one of the, if you were to actually leave something with people too, you're kind of anchoring you in your home. And there's a little bit more of a psychological piece that makes it harder for them to turn you away, because they're a part of their home.
Jamie, case in point to that, David and I, during COVID, when on a listing appointment, we knew that they had informed us, really nice house, South Minneapolis. They had informed us that they were interviewing 3 other agents, so they were gonna have 4. We were the only agents that sent a pre-listing packet out ahead. In fact, we had it couriered over to their house, so there was even some cachet and the courier pulling up to the front door, this is a big home, you know, high value clients. And, you know, courier went up to the door and handed him the packet. When we walked in the door, sat down, looked through the house, sat down in the kitchen, I made a comment like, do you have any questions about the information we sent? They said, no, where do we sign? I was kind of
nice
surprised,
work.
because I did not think, and they said, look, you're the only one that took any time to put some information together and send it out ahead. And so we don't even want to deal with the others. So
That
you're-
could be the value of the two-step process, right? If I can cheat that whole first interview with stuff like that, we got
I
you.
think the magic sauce is just knowing who your people are. Tom mentioned that, hey, sometimes I wanna go through numbers, sometimes I don't. I think we all know Tom, Tom has a high, C, right? You're very analytical. I have that in me too. And that's sometimes what we gravitate towards. And then my D, I love it. Hey, where do we sign? Let's go, right? So I love that too. Yet you have to know your people. So one, pay attention, 2, listen, 3, hear. There's a difference between listening and hearing. And then once you truly understand what's in their best interest, making sure you reiterate that so that they understand that you did hear and listen to them. And then boom, that's what's important to them. And like you're hearing in this room, that's what they want. And when you give it to them, then you're gonna retain them for that deal and most likely for a lifetime.
Kristen?
I was just gonna say, just like Bryce said, a lot of my elderly clients haven't had their home on the market, they've been there for 40 years. And so I call it, would you mind if I just stop by for a quick preview? You don't even have to, don't worry about it if it's not picked up or anything, just so that I can get some information on what's been updated, what hasn't, that kind of thing, and then let's set an appointment and go from there. So sometimes I do, my pre-step and I'll leave that packet with them, the pre-listing packet with them and that kind of thing. But I don't spend a lot of time with that, just a real quick stop by. And that seems to work really well with my, because a lot of homes that, they haven't been on the market forever. And 1993 is when we changed MLS systems, so anything older than that won't really have much information for anything.
Right.
You've been in the business for 40 years, so some of the people are finally coming around and. That's impressive. Tricia, you had something.
Well, I was just going to say, and Chad's touched on a lot, but basically what it comes down to for me is you have to be prepared, have your packet, but you also have to come from a place of curiosity and listen, and it's individualized based on each seller. So sometimes you come with that packet, you know your comps, know your info in your head, and they don't care. They don't want to see what the comps are. I'm there to find out what they do want, and then you have to be able to take a detour and deviate your conversation dependent on the person sitting across the table. Because some of them, I think you said it earlier, you come in and you just vomit all over them. And they're like me and not a numbers person, they're gonna be like, oh my God, But then there's some that do want those numbers, so you also have to be prepared to give all that, show the comps if that's what they want, so.
But I want to say one thing about being prepared, always be prepared, because I went to go preview a for sale by owner one time, and I just got talking with them on the conversation through the walkthrough, and they said, well, can you list our home? And I said, yeah, it took me 10 minutes to find a listing contract in my trunk of a file.
Is it dated like 2004 or something?
No, but I always have one with me.
Yeah, it's a great idea, please
Patricia's
always
point
do
too,
that.
and in the spirit of Phil Jones, Jen Toomer again, when she was here, spoke of, some people have shouldn't say it like this, but some people have bullet points that they want to make sure they get in their presentation. She has questions she wants to make sure she answers that lead to those bullet points instead. That way she can fully be present, listen and watch their feedback with their body, and then go to the next question.
I'll just say, I think the most important thing you can do at a listing appointment is be the best listener you possibly can. And I think we have a habit of going into a listing appointment and feeling like we gotta show our value and all these things, but in the listening, that's where you show your value. And my 2 examples, the one that I just talked about, those people have lived in that home and raised their kids for like 30 years. And so when we were walking around the property, you could tell they had a lot of pride and a lot of memories that happened there. So then part of my pitch to them in my marketing was, let's show how much pride that you had in your place and also the memories that you made by having the nearby parks, all those different things. So I'm gonna have you fill out this questionnaire that talks about how much you love this neighborhood and all these different things, and they absolutely like melted over that piece. And then on the flip side, I dealt with a divorced couple completely on the different side of things, where all they wanted to make sure is that they were both treated equally in the sale of their home. And so I said, we're just having a three-way text, and that's the only way we communicate, is so that there's enough trust built in there that we're all on the same page. And that's what won the listing with that one. So if I hadn't listened during the whole time on both of them and just talked about what I can do for them, I would have never known how to tailor my marketing towards them and the communication in order to win.
Exactly, and I think that dovetails with what both of you are saying, so this is my packet. I could go through all these things, and if all but two, they don't give a rip about, I'm losing. So I'm going all over this, so the questions you ask to learn out of curiosity helps. Okay, this point and this point I need to hone in on. And then, if needed, I'll go through the others. I'm guessing once Lance, they told you that they're ready to list, you didn't go, just a minute, I need to go over all my packet. You said, okay.
Well, and some of them, like
Absolutely.
Bryce was just saying, when there's a lot of emotion, like you have people that are making those big changes, going into assisted living, for example. We have one, we've been to the house 4 times. You know, I'm not going to push them to sign paperwork because they're just not quite there. So they need someone to listen, and they need the patience to walk them through the steps and share why now might be a good time, but if you push too hard and just wanna always get it signed, they'd be like, we're not ready, there's just too much emotion, right? So we've been kind of nurturing that relationship to get them to that point where they're ready, so.
And a lot of those, a lot of top speakers when it comes to psychology of it, we all have an emotion cloud that hovers, right, especially in a situation like that. Jason alluded to some of those things that can help the emotion cloud maybe go away with pre-list packets of video. However, what helps the emotion cloud go by is to ask questions. So be curious, that slowly gets the cloud away, so it gets all shiny and you can move forward. Tasha.
One thing I've also started asking my clients that will be moving into assisted living or something like that, and you can also ask it of your really young people, but for me, it seems to be most appropriate with my people who are moving to the next, no longer hanging out on their own. Is there anyone else that would be involved in this transaction that I need to connect with? Like their sister or their child or, because, and sometimes I want them at the first meeting because I can have a great appointment with someone. In fact, I had one in January, sweet 83-year-old woman, ready to give up her condo. Okay, we're all, everything's done. I've got the paperwork, but she's not ready to sign, no problem. Okay, well, I'm just gonna run all this past my grandson. And in my mind, I'm going, oh, why wasn't he here? Because he's got a friend, or he's got this, or he's, he's gonna throw a wrench in there in some way, shape, or form. So I've been following up, and I chatted with the person who referred her to me, and grandson said I didn't cover something that he thought was amiss, which I did, but she's 83, so she might have missed in translating. Anyways, we're still working on that one, but my point is, ask them, is there someone else who's going to be involved in this transaction so that we can build rapport at the same time? Because a lot of people also don't trust their 83-year-old mother to choose a good realtor. They think we're all vultures. So, just saying.
Tom, and then we'll wind this up.
Yeah, just kind of going back to the whole listening and actually hearing, as well as the emotional part. Some of my best listening appointments, I didn't talk about. And one of them that I had several years ago is now one of my best clients and good friend. We sat down for coffee. He was on a sign call. And he started telling me he just lost his wife, a few months earlier, and they always wanted to buy this house, in Cannon Falls, a certain spot. The reason I ended up winning him as a client is because I told him he shouldn't sell. It was just too fresh. very emotional.
Yep.
And that's what he talks about now. The reason I'm his realtor is because I told him not to sell. And we've done multiple transactions since then, and he's given me several referrals as well, so.
Well
2
done.
ears, one mouth.
Looking out
So
for their best
what
interests.
I'm hearing and what I'm pulling in here, and what I think is really valuable, is you have to have a plan. And if you have that plan in place, and it's clear to you what your next step is, that puts you in a place where you can truly listen to the client, because you're not focused on the plan. You're doing the plan, but you're able to listen. And if you think about the old saying, I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I should listen twice as much as I talk, you're gonna win that every day. Because at the end of the day, the reason you're great at your jobs is because you are great people to talk to. And people wanna talk, and they wanna be expressed themselves, they wanna be seen and heard. So your plan sets the groundwork, but you're the one showing up and doing the actual work. Plan won't do it for you, you have to do it for yourself. You do that by listening to them and translating what they want and need into real estate action.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. That's a new thing to add to your playlist is show up and say, hey, I don't think you should sell. I like that, Tom. 100% work for Tom, why not? Please stick around for Mega Agent Mastermind. What that is, it's the Mega Agents Masterminding. And if you are a newer agent and want to be a fly on the wall, please do. And then after that is a Solo Agent Alliance, where we're gonna come together and collect resources and collaborate. So, thank you all so very much. Drive careful.
No, not the one on my list. This is what I wrote on last
Brandon's birthday hug. Happy birthday.